Welcome to the Gentleman's Talk, where the podcast talks about a man's battle with mental health, his personal experiences, and his journey to be a better soul. Hosted by James Dean Littlejohn.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Gentleman's Talk. I'm here, and I still have Manius influenza. It's gripped me. It's really gripped me. It's a difficult one. It's wiped me out a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. But I felt compelled, as always, when I feel compelled and I feel that I want to jump on and have a talk, I do so. I do exactly that. And also, I've got a lot to reflect on. And I got some constructive criticism that was absolutely fantastic that I'm going to talk about. So I've got a lot to talk about, more than I had on Sunday. So I've been doing DIY. I've built my own walk-in wardrobe on a budget, which has been difficult. I'm not going to lie. It's tested me, especially with man flu. And I've been tired. I've been, a little bit sort of kind of overwhelmed. I've taken on too much, as I always do. And I've tried to finish in record time. I've built the frame on Monday. Excuse me. I built the frame on Monday. I did all the plasterboarding and skimming today, which I'd never done before. I'd never done skimming before. But I managed to do it, and I fitted the plasterboard as well, which should have been a two-man job, but like men, we get on, don't we? And I did. I got on. I did the frame and everything else, and then tomorrow is just a little bit of prep work and put the feature wall, do my arty farty bit. So 3 days. I feel proud of what I've done, but I'm exhausted myself. So, but I always do that. I'm not even going to bother. It's literally what I do. I go balls deep, as they say, and I suffer the consequences later on. But it's rewarding. I'm actually enjoying the process. So, although it's been hard work, I'm actually learning to enjoy the process, which is very, very new to me. Normally I get the job done, move on, and I've done that a lot with a lot of things. I find it really hard to get motivated sometimes to do certain projects, but the revamp of the house is a bit crazy, and I'm trying to do it on a shoestring budget, like everybody is nowadays. So I'm trying to do what I would perceive as a big end thing, something I've seen on somewhere like Pinterest, and I've kind of decided I want to do something similar, and it never plays out because the lighting's perfect. So I get it, and all the stuff's high end for the photo. I get it. And you try and transfer that into your 3-bed detached house, and you're like, what am I trying to do? And you're like, no, it's not a 17-room mansion with a moat, so I don't have the plus side of that. So, but I try, and I've never done a built-in wardrobe before, so I've tested myself, and I've done all the electrics myself. Some people might say, "Woo, you're not certified." Yeah, crazy bastard. No, it is just, I just reconnected a couple of lights. So I just spliced and diced and put a second light. So I've got a light either side of the bed. It looks really cozy, actually. It does look really nice. And it's nice to see the girls, actually. My daughters have asked me, can you do my room next? Because they've seen what I've done in my man cave. They've seen what I've done in the conservatory, living room, the kitchen. The only thing they don't get is the kitchen floor, because I've done squares randomly, but they don't get that. But that was just because I couldn't afford the lino, so I've made it look okay for now. So which is why I've not finished or even made any attempt at the kitchen, because I've lost interest in it. So as always, I lose interest in something. My next thing is the bathroom and things like that. So I've got a little agenda in my head. And, so I've been a busy boy. So, and then today I received I did a podcast yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, day before yesterday, sorry, Sunday. And I didn't really do a reflection as such. I kind of did something a bit different, and I think it's... It was an odd choice from me. I wanted to talk about depression as a whole, and I wanted to talk about the types of depression, just really to, sort of identify, that there's different variants. People can get this depressed. We are, although, we all say we're just, we're human beings. We are all individual human beings. We have our own fingerprint. So everybody takes on different things in life differently. So it's very important to acknowledge that there is different types of depression, but they all result in the same unfortunate way, and that is the depressing part about depression. It's got a bitter end. So, but anyway, I got some constructive criticism actually from a very good friend of mine, and I took it well. I absolutely did, and I know that people know that I don't take negativity very well, because I don't know, that is a flaw in my system, but it's normally because if I always put 100% into everything I do, so to get something negative back, it's difficult for me to understand because I don't feel I could do any better, so I get disheartened in that way. So I go, well, fuck, that was my 100%. If you said that's not good enough, I don't know what to do now. And then normally I find a way. I'll learn something new to jazz it up or do whatever. So, but I do put myself under a bit more pressure. But I took it well. I took the constructive criticism, and I think it's because, I enjoy this process. I enjoy talking. I sit there every single night, and when I do a podcast, I get levels of doubt after my podcast. I'm putting myself out in the open. I work for a certain organisation that, you've got to be careful about what you talk about. Although I'm not talking about anything to do with my job or anything. I'm talking about my life and talking about how I can better my own life, and it's a journey. But I've been at the depths of the darks, and I'm currently going through the parts of my darkest hour. To just to understand that there's so many like depression, stress, anxiety, PTSD, ADHD, autism. There are so many that they all come with their own different complexities. And the unfortunate fact is, depression is a very, very relatable thing nowadays. We are inherently under a lot of pressure. Men are have never been under any more pressure than they're feeling right now, with, imminent potential, the potential for a war, which is then you start getting called up. So men are thinking about that. Fuck, I never thought that, even, and I'm not saying they are, because I have literally no idea if that's going to be the case. But what I'm saying is, that's in the back of your mind. You're thinking, is it going to go to war? Oh God, I might have to protect my family. Then you're also thinking about your job, trying to progress through. Am I earning enough money? Am I looking after and protecting my family? Am I looking after myself? So you've got all these natural pressures, and I talk about these natural pressures all the time. But yeah, anyway, I digress a little bit there. So I took the constructive criticism, and that was a new journey for me, to be honest. That was a bit crazy, because I was, even in the message from my friend, he was a bit apprehensive about telling me because he thought it was negative. And I was like, it's not negative at all. The feedback I got from him was, he said it was a bit of a hard pill to swallow, in the sense, he said it was a bit dark, it was a bit sad. And I went, so what do you mean? He said it was a hard listen. That's the word he used. He said it was a hard listen. And I was like, oh, okay. What do you mean by hard listen? And I emphasised that. And I just sort of went, was it a hard listen because I was, a bit dulcet? I had man flu. I was getting over a hangover. I felt obliged to talk on the Sunday because it's a part of my routine. So sometimes that can crisscross across into being a bit boring. So I get that. So I said, is it one of those, is it that, or was it difficult as in it was quite a sad topic? And then he came back to me and said, no, you delivered it as always. He said, yeah, but it was quite a long process. It was a lot of depression and it was a lot of sadness. And I went, do you know what? That is very, I had to caveat, we both spoke. I said, obviously it was very educational. It was advising people that there is different levels. But he said he found it a hard listen because he felt sad at the end of it. He said he didn't know whether he felt sad because, he listened to all that sadness, or sad because he understood something in there and related to it. He wasn't quite sure. So I sort of kind of went, okay, then, well, what I'll do is we'll talk about this, on our next podcast when we're doing a live together tomorrow night, hopefully. And he basically turned around and said, we'll have a chat about it. And he went, yeah, fine. Well, that's what it's about, learning. And I said, what he didn't get was, where I spoke a bit more, I said to him, well, what I'll do is I'll deliver it, but not so much in one go. Maybe split the depression cells up. And it is important to do that, because the last thing you want is an hour of like, fucking hell, that's made me sad. I don't want to leave and think, Christ, I'm sad, I'm going to be fucking wiped out now, or am I going to start having... That's not the intent of this. So that was proper constructive criticism, and I enjoyed that, because it made me learn to go, don't deliver so much, such a powerful topic in one go. It can be... a hard pill to swallow. Now, again, we may digress into this a little bit more, because it could be that it was a hard pill to swallow in the sense that it was relatable. And in that ways, maybe there's a good thing, because it's making you think about your own life. And obviously, we can sort of dive in. Or it's the other way, it was just a hard pill because it was a lot of sadness. And... ultimately it's talking about sadness all the time. But the reality is, depression is not a nice thing. It's like I said, I've always countered or used the phrase, that my depression is like a black fog over my brain. It consumes me. So at the moment, I'm like, say I'm fighting, I'm recognizing when I need breaks, I'm keeping up my reflection, which is 110% why I'm talking to you right now, because what I've done is, despite doing all this hard work, despite putting myself under the pressures to deliver this DIY job, and note that I've taken a week off to get away from relaxing, and looking at the fact that on the weekend I'm helping my dad build his cabin at the back. So that's going to be another day of intense labour. And then, Sunday's going to be a relaxed day back into work. I don't want to go back to work feeling worse than I did. So I'm acknowledging all that. And that's why I'm talking to you, because the reflection aspect, where I've kept my routine and I've stopped at 6:00. I haven't done anything in the evening. I've made sure that I've pressured myself to finish at 6, had a shower, walked the dog, and then just relaxed for 2 or 3 hours. So I'm not just constantly fucking churning at it. Your mind goes into overdrive. So I'm learning all the time. And this is what this is about. It's not about, and like I said to you before a minute ago, I get doubt all the time. And when you, like I said, when you take the constructive criticism, does that make you doubt a bit more? Not really, no, because that was really good feedback. And I thought that actually, when we dive into a little bit more, that it might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing, but we just have to split it up a little bit. But yeah, I fully appreciate, I'm learning all the time, and I have to continuously battle. I have to continuously reflect, put certain things in order all the time. I know I haven't quite got my, my eating habits perfect just yet, but they're getting better. But what I did was, the reason I came on tonight, and the reason that it's been so good, is because I had a really good reflection. Now, I obviously noting I went out on Friday, so I went out last week, and I went out on the with two of my good friends. We went partying. I haven't been clubbing for a long time, and we ended up in the club, and it was an okay night. It wasn't a bad night. It wasn't on reflection at the time, it seemed fucking fantastic, because I was still drunk. I was severely hungover. I was trying to get over the hangover by looking at the positives from the night to try and substitute the fact that I felt like my insides were being ripped out with barbed wire. I was throwing up horrendously, and I was absolutely bollocks. And then I just said to me, I had a good night. And then Sunday, when it kicked into there, and I was still tired. And then Monday, when I was still tired, because it's grasped me, it's killed me. And then I'm doing DIY, and then today I'm like, fuck, I've still got man flu. I'm still trying to do DIY. But because I've kept up my routine, I reflected quite heavily on the weekend, actually. And I thought to myself, do you know what? Did I enjoy that night out? And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be brutally honest. I didn't. I don't think I did. I enjoyed the company, but there was mixture of things that reflected back on me that I made mistakes. And the reason I say I didn't enjoy the night out is because I didn't really have a good night. It wasn't a fantastic night. It ended up with my mate with cuts and bruises because he got fucking smashed and was running all over the place. And ended up sleeping at his mum and dad's at fucking 42 because after losing his fucking phone. Ended up in a very expensive taxi ride home. And then, you know, the club, when you reflect on it, was okay. It was some good music. But to be honest with you, and this is where I said I felt worse afterwards. The fact that I also didn't invite one of my friends, even though I potentially knew he wasn't going to be able to make it, it would have been nice to extend the invite. So I learned from that. That's what you're supposed to do, invite people. I get that. And then I felt that. And then I was like, I've had a 3-day fucking hangover. I feel like absolute fucking shit. I've spent a fucking fortune I didn't have to try and justify the night. And in actual fact, no, I didn't enjoy the fucking night. I really didn't, and that's why I jumped on tonight, because I've had a mixture of conversations tonight with some friends of mine, and I thought, you know, as I was reflecting, I went for an extra walk, which is why it's a bit late for me, but I went for an extra walk, and on that extra walk, I've reflected again. It was really, I felt so connected with the sense that I was trying to understand why I was feeling and really analyse it. And I went, you know what? I haven't been out like that for years. I haven't been out fucking drinking like that and in a club and fucking, you know, trying to get a taxi at fucking 2:30 in the morning and then still trying to drink and not eating properly. I haven't done that for a long time. Whereas, and this is the fucking kicker for me, I have a home inbuilt bar. It's nothing spectacular. It's not a fucking, you know, it's not the, you know, the dog and duck or whatever it is inside a fucking cabin. I've put 2 pallet walls, so pallets on the side, turned it into a bar and put some optics on the back, and I've called it the Clock and Balls. It's small, it's nothing special, but it's mine. And do you know what? I've had so many fucking good nights in this fucking place in the last 2 years since I built it, that none of them were lesser, were so bad that I would ever forget them. Whereas I would forget that Friday. They were all incredible. I remember having laughs with everybody, nearly everyone. There's one person in particular who's listened to this going, fucking, I haven't been to yours. Billster, absolutely. Your fucking inviting is here, mate. So you can get your picture on the wall, because I'm going to have... I've started a little picture wall, and I want everybody to have a photo with me that comes in and enjoys the night with me, because I'm the landlord, and I don't mean that in a really like, oh, you know, eccentric twatish way. Yes, I do. So shut your fucking mouth. I like the fact I'm a landlord and I have a fucking lord title. I do. But I'm going to have a picture with me and everybody in the Clock and Balls. So it's going to become relatable, because I'm going to be in this place for the next 10 years, I think. So it's nothing special, but every single night, and I mean every single night that's been in here, has been amazing. Whether it's been an early night finish because we were too drunk, or it's been a fucking 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning where I've been sat chatting with my brother or my other brothers, Kieran and whoever. Even Nelly, when he came round, was giggling his ass off. We didn't get fucking none of that when we went out. We had no real giggles. People were bouncing off fucking walls, and it was a bit of shit music and a couple of fucking old tramps in the middle fucking dancing away. And I meant that as in derogative terms, because they looked like they were dressed like tramps. And I'm not talking about women, I'm talking about actual men. And that was it. It was not that great. Whereas I've never had a 3-day fucking hangover after the Clock and Balls. I've been relaxed, gone to bed respectfully, we've eaten well. So it just goes to show that going out doesn't have to involve going out. It really is. Do you know what? It's a lot of money for a lot of fucking pain. And I won't make that mistake again. I've outright said today in my reflection, I won't do that again. I didn't enjoy it. I've made a bar. I've made a comfort zone. You know, I've kind of built a place that is comfortable for people to come round and stay. That's the whole purpose. That's why my house I'm renovating it basically from ground to ceiling, top floor. And I'm doing everything. So if I'm going to do that and spend this money and spend this time and look for these deals and do it on a shoestring, but make it look as nice as I can, I'm going to enjoy it. And I think that that's just it. It's just, you must get to an age, and I just go, that's not for me, mate. Cause even on reflection now, and I don't talk about money in the sense that I've spent it. There's nothing I can do about it. But I do reflect on what I've always done this. I've always reflected on what I could have done with that. And I always try to say, would it have been worth it? So I used to say in my youth, I used to go out in the piss and I'd be like, fucking hell, it's cost me a fortune. I have ended up arguing or fucking falling out with my mate or I've been a dick or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And I've spent a fucking fortune. And then the next day I get that buyer's remorse where I go, oh, I could have bought a fucking new Xbox game. I could have fucking done this, or I could have done a new pair of trainers. Instead of going out, I could have bought a new fucking t-shirt. I could have gone out for a meal. I then think like that, and I go, instead, you've pissed it up a wall, mate, to end up probably fucking battered and someone's hurt themselves. And when you must get to an age where that just becomes, you just don't want to do it anymore. You just go, I don't, and like I said, I was reflecting, and I go, how many events, so whatever I'd have spent, that would have done me 4 consecutive weekends. Yeah, 4 consecutive weekends of hosting some sort of small party in my Clock and Balls with food is what just I spent. And I could have had 4 weekends consecutive and said, you know, to my mates, I'll host it and I'll pay for it. Your cut, instead of coming out, will be on fuel, which will be nothing, 10 quid, you know, if you're coming from other areas. So, you know, that's where you start thinking a bit more like an adult, I think. I don't know, it's crazy, it's fucked up, I know, I'm learning. But yeah, I just kind of got to the point where I was like, yeah, I'd rather those occasions with the close people. We talk about, and I did, I got, do you know what? I got caught up in the moment. I got caught up in it. I haven't been out for ages. I got caught up in the excitement of going, let's just go out, and then let's go to somewhere we haven't been for 10 years because it will be incredible. Let's try and invite a load of people. No fucker comes out because I haven't spoke to them for the last 10 years. So what did you fucking expect? But you're ready to come out now, James. You've literally done this. You've done what you said you would never do. Or what you disowned, or not disowned, but you got rid of them for because they never spoke to you. Yet you come straight back in and gone, oh, I'm ready now. I'm coming, you know, so I'm learning. And I'm like, actually, what a waste of fucking time. What a waste of time. I could have had I could have had fucking, you know, 3 or 4 different day sessions at the golf and really enjoyed I could have had 4 weekends of hosting a party and playing golf. Is what I could have done for the money I spent, and and then I would have got a lot more out of that, and I wouldn't have been feeling shit for myself. And do you know what? I was actually talking to my mate tonight, and this sort of brings me on to my very good friend actually, and he's currently going through this little party, this little part where he's changing jobs. He's changing jobs, and absolutely commend him. Fantastic job. He's done the process. He's going through. And he had his little blip today. And it was like, this is where I talk about the different mental health challenges that we all face. You know, my other friend, before I talking about Kieran, my other friend, he always talks about being in the bad books. So I'm always in the bad books. I live in the bad books, you know. And it kind of like, again, that's where he thinks, you know, and you shouldn't be like that, you know. And he's got so much fucking to give that you're like, no, get out the bad books, mate. Just fucking enjoy your life, buddy. You don't need to be in the bad books. Fuck anyone's bad books, mate. You're a fully grown fucking adult, you know. And look, you know, get out and enjoy yourself. So if we all make mistakes, we all, we all fucking fall over and hurt ourselves, don't we? You know, we've all done it. But, you know, anyway, so as I digress, but back into Kieran. So I talk about the challenges, you know, that we face. And like I said, like you said about Nelly, the challenge he's facing, you know, he's currently going through the change of roles into a whole new environment, a whole new system that he's not comfortable with. He's got this to challenge. He's gone into a lesser paid job to get more ambition out of the next 10 years. very, very advice I've given, and I think it's the right advice that I've given him. I do know it's going to be difficult, and I said to him today, I've been through this process. I've just done it. I went through the exact process he's going to, the same organisation, and I'd done the same thing. I took the same pay cut he did. So I lived to my means on that previous budget. So it was horrible. I get that. And I said, you just got to work hard, knuckle in, get ambitious, and you'll smash it. You'll be, promoted in no time. And I will, stand by him. And I said to him today, I had to send him a voice message, because I was like, don't think about the pressures. Don't think about next year. Don't think about the struggles of now. We'll get through them. We'll get through them together. And then we'll get to the other side and, boom, you'll be sat there in the same position. It's going to be hard work for a year, but you're now set up for the next 20 years, because you've got somewhere to go in 10 years' time to the next promotion. And you've got somewhere even before if you really wanted to, but, when he feels comfortable. And there's another level after that, which is even more, there's so much more for him to get in this route for 1 year of hard work. And I said, it's going to be difficult, but I said, I will be there 110%. He said to me, I don't want to put that burden on you. No, it's not a burden, mate. You have been there through every part of my last couple of 3 years, since I left. 2 years. And I don't mean he hasn't been there before. We've known each other 29 years. But what I mean is he's actively been, because I've been open and honest. And I explained my feelings and I explained my situation, and I've really let him know. He's also learned probably so much from me on this podcast, that, it's kind of, it helps us move forward. So I said to him, of course I'm going to be there. Absolutely. I would be there for any of my friends, whatever they ask me. That's why I have a close network of friends, because I will do anything for them. That's where I talk about in podcast 10. We're at 120 now. Podcast 10, I talk about, I think it's podcast 10. I'm just wildly plucking numbers out of the air. But it's around that time where I talk about, making things manageable and making your friendship group manageable. And this is why, because now I'm in a situation where, I said to my mate here, I was like, dude, I will make time for you, mate. I will make time in my schedule to make sure if you've got a problem, we can jump on this modern technology now. We just jump onto Teams and we just remotely help each other. It's a piece of piss, mate. You can be there even if you're not there. So he said, it's just a little bit daunting. It's a new role. It's a new atmosphere. It's a new environment. You don't know what to do. And also he's going in the same situation as me, where it was a brand new role. No one knew the role. So I said, but take advantage of that. You're now in a situation where you don't need to stress, so don't stress, which means now you can put your focus into, because he's that committed to this. He's taken on a second job, and I commend him for that. I didn't do that. I struggled, and I should have done, but I didn't really know where to look, to be honest. And that sounds like a bit of a cop-out, but I was mentally unstable at the time, so there's no way I could have taken on the pressures of a second job. But this is how dedicated my mate is. He takes stress in his stride normally, and I have felt his pressure tonight, which is why I'm talking about him, because I did feel him, but I wanted him to know that look for the future, look ahead for the next 20 years, and that's what we need to get through. And yeah, so I felt his pressures today, and I sort of said to him, don't worry about it. I will be there no matter what. I will always be there. I will help you settle in. It's a new environment. It's a new everything. And it's a bit daunting. Of course it is. You're walking away from going into a place where you know it like the back of your hand. You know the process. You know how to get the keys out. You know where to go. You know everything. And you're going into an environment you don't know at all. And it's completely and utterly new. And there's going to be a world of stuff to come towards you. And I said to him, don't worry, mate, I've been through that world. So I saved all of those emails and processes to get me through. So what I'll do is I will send them through to you, and we can go through them together. And that's the importance. That's where we nurture and the right people. And like I said, episode 10-ish, talking about making your friendship group manageable. I know that I get a lot of success out of, my little friendship group. I absolutely do. I get so much from, and I think it's really important, and I don't mean this in any other shape, but it's really important to have similar like-minded men in your group, in your life. And right the way down to, I talk about my dad, and he's literally like, for me, he is my world. I love my dad to absolute bits. And, he's always been, we've never always vibed, but I do absolutely feel probably the most protective over him at the moment than I've ever done. And then we sort of break into my brother. I absolutely love him. I protect him like a fucking warrior as well. Well, I protect everyone. So the general consensus is that I would always protect everyone. Okay. So, but give you the emphasis on those ones because they're family, they're immediate family anyway. And then I've got sort of Kieran, absolutely incredible. Nelly. And then I've got Billy. And then I've got a couple of new ones actually coming on board, which, like I said, I've spoke to them, the guy I sold the motorbike to. And, for me, it's about, sort of kind of managing everything. Sorry, Liam, it was at the end. I was trying to think of his name while I was thinking of the next point. And then it was kind of, they're the guys I talk to, but I relate to as well. I'm not saying that I'm restricted to those people, but they're the people that I can get the most out of. And I feel the Satan, and not one of the most out of, I don't mean that in the negative sense. I mean that as in the most out of is in protection, in friendship, in love comes back to me, in protection that comes back to me. Everything's in equal spot in spades, and I kind of for me it's kind of important to acknowledge that. And I kind of, when you can make it manageable, when you make it manageable for those people and you have those people in your life and you look after them, it's manageable and it's effective. You get the same back from everybody. So you look after them, they look after you. You look after each one, they look after you. And those are the people that absolutely give back. You get extensions. Of course, you have other friends that you talk to and you go into different levels with other people. And obviously their friendship group will grow. But it's really important, and that's why I make it manageable. And that's why I said to my mate here, and I said to him, absolutely looking after you 100%. Literally, I will make it as easy as I possibly can for your transition into this new organisation and this new role. And I will do the stuff that would normally stress people out, like trying to find fucking HR or whatever, and I've got all the points of contact for him. So I'll do whatever I can to make it easy. And that's where I turned around and said, he said, thanks very much. You've come to me in my hour of need. We messaged each other earlier on, and he said, you've came here in my hour of need, and that's what I needed. And that's what friends are for. That's what we try to nurture all the time. That's what we try to look after all the time, is the right people around you that give back. I know I give back to all of them, and they all give back to me. And that's where you feel rewarded in a friendship. You know that you can call on them at any time, and they can call on you at any time. You can literally have a night out with them randomly. You can have a planned night out with them. You cannot see them for years and then see them again, and it'll be exactly the same. They're the fucking friends you want. They're the people we're nurturing. So when you look after them, it's rewarding all around. And that's why when Kieran said to me, I said, don't you worry about it, mate. Let me put it in perspective for you. So I'm not going to change your mind, but I messaged in the outline why we're doing this, the what, the why. And straight away he came back to me and said, you reminded me, of what I got. And bearing in mind, he is also going through his hangover stage. So, I said to him, you're going to feel a little bit low. We had a heavy weekend. I've just spoke about that. And I said, now you're into the tiredness, you're into a new job in a couple of weeks. It's been a bit daunting. You've just had a half day with them, and it's all a bit over the fucking world, over the place. You don't really know what's going on. So your emotions are flared up, mate. Absolutely. But let me put it in perspective for you. Let me call you. And straight away, we finished after we were talking. He said, mate, I'll call you tomorrow after work. And I think that's what he just wants to go into work tomorrow. He's got a process. It's a process I would have adopted. Maybe he'll go into work tomorrow and just have a look around and go, I'm making the right decision. Maybe he'll walk around the place and go, no, I actually want to stay here. I think that's what he needs to do. I think that's what I would certainly want to do anyways. Just walk around. I did it. This is where it's funny for me, because it's the same situation I've gone through, where I left that same organisation at the same title, everything else, and I'm come into the same process. And I said, I felt it all, mate. I walked around. And when I started taking my name off of my fucking lockers and all that, after being there for, I mean, you got to remember, I was there 13 years. When I started taking my name off, mate, that was it. I was fucking done. I was like, no, I'm actually done. I know why I'm doing this. Yes, it's going to be fucking tough for the next fucking year, but I will do whatever the fuck I can to get out. And I did. On the year dot, I stopped. I said it was 2 days before my year. I jumped up 2 promotions and fucking, that was it. I was happy. I was where I wanted to be. If you've got ambition, it will get you through. So, absolutely learning a lot here. And this is where we all talk about all the time, don't we? We talk about the challenges we go through as men. And here he is now. He said he's going to be up and down for the next couple of weeks. And I said, don't worry about it. I'm here every day, mate. Just fucking ring me. That's what I'm here for. When you have your ups and downs, you need to be able to call on these people to go, dude, I need a fucking ear, or what would you do in this situation? And that's where it all balances out. And here we are, like I said, we're talking 120 episodes, back to 10, and we're on the same thing. We're talking about the same process. We're reliving the experiences, right hand, first hand, where, we're talking about it working. I've got the right people around me. They've got the right people around me. Them. And we're looking after each other, because we do go through pressures, and he's got to provide for his family. Like I said, he's 41-year-old. Not that that means anything, but I said, you're at a good place now to still learn a new job and carry on for the next 25 years. And I know that it's completely, there may be young listeners that are listening to this going, what the fuck's he talking about, mate? I want to live large and have a good time. And do you know what? I've been there. I've done that. I've got the t-shirt. I don't say I absolutely recommend your mental health is to go and enjoy yourself when you're young, because when you're young, that's the best time to do it. You don't have real responsibilities. You can get by on a shoestring. When you've got a family, when you've got into a big role or whatever, you've got proper commitments. And I'm not saying you don't have commitments when you're younger, but when you've got family, house and mortgage and all that to pay for, that's when the real pressures come. And that's when you can't, live by the seat of your pants. You've got to think about the next 25 years at 40. Yes, you can get away with 30 to 40, thinking 10 years ahead, thinking, by 40, I'd like to be such and such. But when you get to 40, you need to be thinking, right, this is me for 65 years, or it's going to go up in the next 35 years. 30 odd. The pension age going up again to 68, I think. You've got to think to yourself, that's what I've got to look at the next 25 years. I don't want to work right up till I'm 68 either. Fuck that. I want to stop working at fucking no later than 60. That's my goal. I'd absolutely fucking love that. But you've got to have those ambitions, but you've got to look at that distance and what can your company give you? What can your life give you in the next 25 years? What do I need to achieve? What do I need to change to make them happen? And that's really like, it's almost like it used to be called the midlife crisis. And it is, it's the midlife crisis around 40. They do say now that midlife crisis is 50, but I don't believe it is. We're talking midlife because the average age is about 78, I think it is, or something silly like that. It might have gone up a little bit, so don't quote me. But you are talking inherently around your 40s is your midlife. So you do get a bit of a crisis. So that is a time where inherently men go a bit off the fucking rails. So we need to manage that. Yeah, you can be fly by the seat of your pants when you're younger. You absolutely, and I say everybody when they're young, go out and enjoy yourself. Absolutely, for your own mental health, do that, because when you get to 40 and you do settle down, or 30s and settle down, and 40s you start having kids, whatever your path is, when you do get to that point, everything does become real. You have to provide. There's no say in the matter. So everything becomes a little bit more difficult, but absolutely go and enjoy yourself when you're young. I would never change anything about my youth. If not, the only thing I would change is I would do more. I would literally go out more when I was younger, and I didn't really care, because like I said, now I flash back 20 minutes and I talk about going out at 41, and I didn't like it. I really didn't. It's a lot of money. The atmosphere as well is not there, because you've got to remember, you know, I'm 41. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So I had a fucking good time. I really did have a good time. The nightclub scene was big in the 90s, you know, raves and all that sort of stuff. I went through all the 80s almost. You know, so I was listening to good music as a child growing up, and then I went into the 90s and had the best music, I think, going. And I think the 80s and 90s mix it's just flat out amazing for me. When I go out now, I always compare to what it was like when I went out. And I know there is areas where you can get the similar sort of atmosphere. You go to London, you go to the big cities. I don't want that. I used to get the big city atmosphere in the country. You know what I mean? And that's the difference. Is I used to get that atmosphere, and I had that atmosphere, and I went to the nightclubs, and I partied hard, and I had a good fucking time in my 90s. In the 90s, not my 90s. Fucking hell, Jesus, selling myself short here. So when I go out now, I have to compare to that, because if I don't, it's subpar for me. I go, well, actually, on reflection, I enjoy the clock and balls. I enjoy sitting here doing karaoke, chilling out to good music, having a plethora of fucking great food that is all bought from fucking thingy because we've cooked it ourselves, not paid, you know, astronomical prices, and we just sit and we have a fucking dance, we play Beerio Kart, we do whatever we got to do, we have a good fucking time. And in the summer, I just open the doors and boom, I'm on the fucking veranda area, stroke garden. You know what I mean? It's a bit of decking. Fucking hell, don't get too excited. So that's what it's about. It's absolutely about that. So I think that reflection is, for me, the biggest thing I can take from this is reflection is the biggest thing you can do to better your life. For me, it's a no-brainer. Everything else comes naturally when you reflect on where you're going wrong, what you're doing wrong, or how you want to achieve your next steps. What have you got to achieve? How to get there? It's all happens in reflection. You've got to look at yourself inwardly all the time, constantly question yourself and go, am I fucking doing the right thing? Have I made the right decision? Even today, I said to Kieran, you know, you do what's right for you, mate. You do what's right for you. You do what's right for your family. I won't feel offended if you don't take the job and you go, do you know what? It's a big jump. I'm not doing it. And I said that to him. I said, don't ever think that I'm going to pressure you into that. I said, and he didn't. He caveat, he didn't. He knows I'm never pressuring him. I've just been open and honest. But I said I wouldn't want to be the person that felt like I was pressurizing you. And when I reminded him and I put into perspective everything, so I put it into positives, I put it into negatives. I did say, you know, you've been at Serco for his previous company for 7 years. You know it inside out. You're on a steady job, but can you see yourself doing that in the next 10 years? And then the other way was, this is what you've done it for. Yes, it's going to be hard. You need to acknowledge that. But this is where the whole thing comes together. It all comes together in talking and helping and getting ourselves out there. And like I said, I'm learning on constructive criticism. It won't work on everything, so don't get fucking fast and loose with the word constructive criticism, because you will feel the wrath of me. But this is where we talk, and this is why it's talking. So even my negativity that I get when I do these and think, fuck, I'm out there, and I do a TikTok and go, oh my God, my face is out there. I don't do it because I want attention. I do it because I want to help somebody. I do genuinely want someone to understand. And also it helps me. Like I always say to you, these podcasts help me. I want them to grow, and I do want to, I am going to grow them. I do want to do more lives with the Billster, because I think we just bounce. It's a really good fucking time to bounce and talk about mental health, and I think he's got some fucking fantastic ideas. And like I said, all of this is encompassed in you know, encasing yourself, the word I was looking for, encasing yourself in the right people. And that's why I've got this small group of friends, but they all have their own little bits, and they all do their own bits. And do you know what? I've got the extension. I've got other people that I still talk to that I don't talk to as often, but I still class them as friends. These are just the people I talk to regular. These are the ones that genuinely help me with my problems. This little tiny group, they help me get through my problems. And that's what you need. You need to nurture those people, so you know that somebody will give you the right advice. And don't ever give advice biased. Always give advice from a neutral position. Be Switzerland, man. Be fucking Switzerland. Or like my wife, she's fucking Switzerland. She always sits on the fucking fence until she's got a knife in her hand. She's fucking swinging at me. Crazy bitch. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and I look forward to talking to live podcasts with the Billster. And yeah, we'll extend it. I want to talk a bit more. I do want to talk a bit more with Nelly. And Kieran, we're leaving Kieran. I'll do something different at some point. I'll work out a way, even if I've got to get him on when he's drunk, I'll do something, but we'll work it out. I'll get it so he's in the room, and we'll do it in the Clock and Balls or something. We'll have a Clock and Balls live or something, and we'll just get drunk and chat shit on live. I think we'll have to do that, actually, so we'll probably do that pretty soon when we can, because we've still got the gin left over because we went out on the piss, so we've still got a full bottle of gin here, so we've got a cheap night ahead. But anyway, thanks very much. Cheers for listening. Look after yourself. Take care of yourself. Make sure you're keeping up with your reflection and all these things I talk about. If you're listening to me, then you're listening to me for a reason. You're listening to me because you want to change, or you want to help other people, or you want to help yourself in other ways. So take note, utilize it properly, and make those changes you need to make. But ultimately, look after yourself. Take care, everyone.